experience. Did we not have a wonderful worship experience to this point? I'm truly humbled for being here. I sent the church and Pastor Porter a bio, and he didn't read it. But the introduction that he gave me did far greater than the bio that I wrote. So thank you. I bring you greetings from the Princeton Theological Seminary by way of the Second Baptist Church of Asbury. We have some of our friends here with us. If you could please stand just to be acknowledged. Thank you for coming out this early morning. Pastor Van sends his greetings as well. It is indeed a privilege to stand once again behind this sacred desk. And to Pastor Porter for the gracious invitation. I'm truly thankful. There are no words that can express how I feel about what you've done for me and for my life and for the Pilgrim Church. It is no secret that I would not be where I am or who I am had it not been for the Pilgrim Baptist Church. To the ministers, officers, leaders, and the great body of Pilgrim, thank you for accepting me and for loving on me continually. Now, I know that the scripture was read already, but I chose a different one, so if you would please stand, if you are physically able, and join me in your Bibles at Mark, the 16th chapter. Mark chapter 16. I'm reading from the New International Version. And I solicit your prayers that we begin this endeavor. Reading verses 1 through 8. It says, when the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome bought spices so that they might go to anoint Jesus' body. Very early on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb, and they asked each other, who will roll the stone away from the entrance to the tomb? But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side. And they were alarmed. Do not be alarmed, he said. You are looking for Jesus, the Nazarene, who was crucified. He is risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him, but go. Tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him just as he told you. Trembling and bewildered, the women went out and fled from the tomb. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. The word of the Lord is already blessed. As you take your seats, I'd like to talk for the brevity of time that is mine from the thought, the movement from death to life. Movement from death to life. Lord, I ask that you take charge of my head and my heart, and you use my mind and my mouth to do your good will in this place. Allow me to decrease that you might increase, so that your people do not see or hear me, but they have a divine encounter with you. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Movement from death to life. In my preparation, I was looking up and I figured I would define a few words before I began. The definition of life that I found is the condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, functional activity, and continued change that precedes death. Death, on the other hand, is the irreversible cessation of all vital functions, the permanent ending of vital processes in a cell or in a tissue. And so you might say, preacher, why are you talking about movement from death to life? Well, as we study our scripture and we read our word, we see the ministry of Jesus, and we might look at that as life, but in actuality, Jesus was operating in death. You see, God sent Jesus down to the earth because the prince of the air, the ruler of this world, Satan, was in control. And Jesus had to come to set things right. So the entire ministry of Jesus that we see in all the Gospels, Jesus was operating in death, trying to get back to life. So his earthly ministry is that example of death to life. But I would submit to you that some of us are in the process of living in death. You do realize that it's a possibility for you to live in this earthly temple and spiritually be dead. There are some people who walk around, they can put on all the accoutrements that make them look good, but on the inside they're just as empty as a tomb. And so I believe that God sent me by here, Pilgrim Baptist Church, 172 Shrewsbury, to let you know that we need to be in the process of moving from death to life. And so here it is, and where we meet our text, and it's on the Resurrection Sunday, the most important day in the Christian faith, because if there was no getting up Sunday, there is no continued gospel of Jesus Christ. And so on this great getting up morning, we meet Mary, another Mary, and Salome, who are going on their way to the tomb where Jesus was laid. The Bible talks about how they bought spices so they might anoint the body of Jesus. And what you need to know is it was a Jewish burial custom that the body of the dead would be anointed with expensive spices and oils. That signified that you are giving honor to the dead and giving them a proper and fitting burial. And so as they are going to the tomb, they have a conversation amongst themselves. They were there at the foot of the cross when Jesus died, and they saw that after he was laid in the tomb that a huge stone had been rolled in the mouth of the tomb. They continued going, and they're talking amongst themselves, who is going to move this stone? But this is the first thing I want you to know in the movement from death to life, that you cannot allow seemingly insurmountable obstacles to stop you. There are things that will try to block your path, that will try to derail your motion. But what we learn from the scripture text here today is even if it doesn't look like you can do it, you continue on. You might not think that you're qualified to get that job. You might not think you have the credit to get that loan. You might not think that you are capable of doing what somebody's asked you to do. But if God has put it in your heart, if you know that that's what God called you to do, I want you to keep on walking no matter what it looks like, no matter what it says, because God is faithful to his word. There's something else in this one that I saw as well. As they're walking along the way, they're having a conversation about who will move the stone. You got to be careful who you have with you when you're moving. Because there's sometimes there'll be people in your life, there'll be those negative nannies, those naysayers who say, oh, that stone is in the way. We can't move this stone. It doesn't make sense to go. It's too early in the morning. Why are you going to do that? If anybody knows somebody like that in their life, you try to tell them no matter what you're trying to do, it's not going to work for this reason or for that reason. I want to tell you that you need to watch out for the people that's in your circle. Not saying that they're bad people, not saying that you shouldn't pray for them or love them, but some people can't go into the place where God is trying to take you. Sometimes you got to check who you got in your ride with you, because they might just be holding you back as you try to continue on in your movement. Despite the obstacles in their way, they continued on. And when they got to the tomb, they found that the stone had already been removed. A lot of times in our life, God will send obstacles just to see if we're going to keep going. Going to see if we have the faith that we say that we do. And if you allow the negative people in your life or your doubts or your fears or the enemy to stop you, you will never realize the blessing that God has for you. Sometimes those things are just there to test your faith. Sometimes those things are just there to see if you're going to trust the God that you say you believe in. So they went and they found that the heavy stone had already been moved from the tomb. They went in. And when they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side. Next thing I want you to remember as we journey in this journey from death to life, sometimes God's words will come to you from unexpected people and unexpected places. Who thought that there would be a young man in the tomb where Jesus was laid on that morning? But check out what happened. When they got to the tomb, they were alarmed. And scripture says, before they said a word, before they did anything, the young man said, "Do not be alarmed." He said, "You are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is risen." So before he asked any questions, before he said anything, he told them why they were there. He told them about their emotions. He knew exactly what they were going through. Sometimes we are surprised how people can read us like a book when we have on our covering and our mask. Sometimes God's going to send people into your life that will be able to look beyond your mask, look beyond your costume, and speak directly to your spirit. I've heard it said that you can fool some of the people all of the time. You can fool all of the people some of the time, but you can't fool God none of the time. God will send people to speak into your life who don't know a thing about you, who don't know anything that's going on with you. But when they open their mouth, you know that it had to come from the mouth of God. Be mindful of those people that God sends in your life in unexpected forms and unexpected places. I'm also reminded when Jesus had the encounter with the woman at the well in chapter 4, John chapter 4. Now, I know this is a Bible teaching church, so you guys know this story. But Jesus was at the well, the woman was there drawing, and Jesus asked her for a drink. Jesus had no pail or anything, and so he had this conversation with this woman. And he ended up telling her, "The water I give, you'll never thirst again." A little while longer, they still had a few more words. And the lady ended up running back to the city. And she told the people in the city, "Come, see a man who told me everything that I've ever done." God has the power and ability to send people into your life just like that. They will tell you everything that you've done without you even opening your mouth. But sometimes we won't even listen to those people because they don't have the proper title or the proper degree. God says, "I don't need a title to speak to you. I don't need a degree to give you my word. All you need to have is a receptive heart." Be mindful of those people that God sends in your life that you dismiss because they don't look like what you think they should. Because they haven't been to the places you think they should. It's imperative as you move from those dead places in your life that you do not neglect those gifts that God gives you. Another thing I want you to be mindful of, the prophetic voices might not always come in the package that you expect. We see here, this was a young man who was speaking to the women who came to see Jesus. Now, in our culture and in our society, some of us only believe that young people are just empty vessels that are waiting to be filled with our knowledge and our experience and what we have to offer, that they don't have anything to offer. But I'm telling you, God says I can use anybody to do my will. I can use anybody to speak to your problem. Jesus actually said so. When he was speaking to his disciples in Matthew chapter 18, verses 2 through 4, it says, "At that time the disciples came to Jesus and asked, 'Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?' Jesus called a child and set him in the midst of the disciples. And he says, 'Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whoever becomes humble like this child is the greatest in the kingdom of God.'" So be careful that if accessing the words and the wisdom of the youth because they haven't had the experiences that we've had. No, they haven't. But the thing that we've had that they haven't is we've been bruised and jaded by the world. This world has made us feel some things and turn off some things to where we might miss the voice of God. But the innocence of children can speak a powerful and prophetic word if you are attentive for it. So first, as you move from death to life, don't let the obstacles that are in your way stop you. Second, be mindful of the voices that you choose to listen to, that they might come in unexpected people and unexpected places. But thirdly, the prophetic voice of God only confirms what God has already spoken to you. Mark chapter 16, verse 7 says, "But go tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him just as he told you." Now, sometimes we might have a problem hearing the voice of God. Sometimes we may not believe that it's the voice of God. I dare to tell you that if you got somebody coming to you telling you this is what God told me to tell you, God ain't said it to you, you might want to double check that. Because people always have advice for you, but they may not be speaking from God's voice. God never gives you new information, give other people new information about you without giving it to you first. You got to be careful though, because sometimes you'll miss the voice of God because of your distractions. I'm too busy with work. I'm too busy with school. I'm too busy with family. I don't have time to pray. I don't have time to read my word. Sometimes we miss God's voice because of the busyness of this world. Yes, Lord. Sometimes we also get distracted in our worldly pursuits. We desire acclaim and fame and fortune and people to give us things. And sometimes God is trying to speak to us, but we don't have time for that. No, this meeting is more important. No, this phone call is more important. No, doing nothing is more important. Sometimes we miss the voice of God because we want to be comfortable in the earth. Our arrogance, our disobedience, our unwillingness to listen to God may be the reasons that we don't hear God. And might be the reason that we miss the confirmations that come through other people. We must be careful not to privilege the voice of humanity and the world over God. Sometimes we also like to allow our rational minds to tell us what God told me simply can't be true. It doesn't make sense. I don't see how it can happen that way. That won't work. But I will tell you, I'm a living witness that my rational mind cannot touch what God has created and commanded for me. Pastor Porter talked about me coming on a volunteer assignment. I don't know if you know what volunteers get paid, but they don't get paid much. There's no way in the world that I'm supposed to be able to live in New Jersey on what a volunteer gets paid. But God created a way for me. God paid the path for me. God opened doors for me. God did everything for me that I could not do for myself. But if I had allowed my rational mind to say that you can't do that, I would have missed what the Lord has for me. Don't allow your mind to miss the blessings of God. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 27 says, "But God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God chose what is low and despised in the world, the things that are not, to reduce to nothing the things that are." Don't tell me what God can't do. Don't tell me how God can't move mountains if you have faith of a mustard seed. Don't tell me, because I've lived it. God always speaks to you about you first. As I was preparing for this message, and I was thinking, how do I make it plain that we have to move from death to life? Some of you probably are not sufficiently convinced that you are in a state of death right now where you are. You're not spiritually growing. You're dead. If you don't have a vibrant prayer life and worship experience, you're dead. And you need to move from that dead place of addiction, that dead place of bondage, that dead place of hopelessness. All of those are tools and tricks of the enemy that wants you to stay where you are. The definition of life, again, that condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, including the capacity for growth, reproduction, and functional activity. If you're not growing, if you're not reproducing, if you're not doing functional activities in your spiritual life, you are spiritually dead. And this message is just for you. God's saying, I want you to move from death to life. John 10:10 says, the thief comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. But I am come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. God wants you to have abundant life. God wants you to have eternal life. God wants you flourishing in your person. But you got to do the work of moving from death to life. For some reason, the Lord woke me up at 2:30 this morning. And I was trying to get back to sleep. So I was like, God, I got to preach. But I remember God put back in my memory a story that I heard last year when I was at one of the NAACP conferences. There was a story about a man named Robert Smalls. Robert Smalls was born a slave in Beaufort, South Carolina, right before the Civil War. And the thing that's remarkable about Robert Smalls is that he grew up as a slave, but then he ended up working on the ships of the Confederate Army. He essentially was piloting the ship, but he didn't get the credit for it because he was a slave, but he was taking the ship to different places, and it was a munition ship. It was a small gunner ship that he had. One night, he and his crew, they had decided that they were going to escape to freedom. They were going to steal this Confederate warship and go to the Union blockade that was surrounding the harbor. So what Robert Smalls did as he was planning and as he was getting ready and his crew was getting ready, he had watched the captain of the ship making all the right hand signals, making all the right gestures so he would know exactly what to do. So early in the morning, when they decided to make their break, he put on a straw hat just like the captain of the ship. His crew boarded the ship, and the white soldiers had gone inland for some rest. This was what they normally did. They left the slaves on the ship. And so this night, he started sailing the ship out of the harbor. And he passed, I think it was 3 or 4 different checkpoints, giving the right hand signals, doing the right things, and they got out of range of the Confederate gunners. And they were headed for the Union blockade. Now, as they neared the Union ships were about to fire on this ship. This was a Confederate battleship coming at them. But what had happened, Robert Smalls was smart. They had lowered the Confederate flag, and his wife had brought along some white bed sheets, and they raised the white sheets of surrender. So when this Union army was about to fire on them, somebody said, I think I see a white flag. And indeed, they did not fire on them. Now, there's a couple things that were interesting about this. They sailed out of the harbor under the cover of darkness. The sun was coming up just as they reached the Union ship. If the sun had not come up, they would not have been able to see the white flag, and they'd have fired on this ship. But thanks be to God that the sun came up, that they looked up and they saw the white flag, and they were surrendering to the Union army. Robert Smalls went on to have a successful career because one of the Union soldiers, one of the Union officers said, this was one of the smartest men I've ever met. But there's something that I thought about when I saw that. The way it raised the white flag and they looked up, and that's what saved them. If I go back to my text, and we're talking about when they were getting to the tomb, Verse 4 says, but when they looked up. There's something special about looking up. There's something special about when you look up. I hear the psalmist saying, I look to the hill from which cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord. When Jesus was doing his miracle, when he fed the 5,000, he took the bread, he broke it, he looked up and gave thanks to God. When Jesus was raising Lazarus from the dead, he looked up and said, Father, I thank you for having heard me. There's something special that happens when you look up. And when they encountered the young man in the tomb, Jesus is not here. He is risen. On this great getting up morning, I believe my charge to you from God is to get up. Get out of the dead places in your life. Stop doing the things that have held you bound. Stop letting people tear you down. Get up, look up, so that God can have you move from death to life. As we go forward, the world goes forward. If we lay down, the world believes that our risen Savior has not risen. Do not make God a lie. Show him that just like Jesus got up, I can get up. So that dead relationship, let it go. That dead end job, let it go. That dead interpersonal thing that you got going on, let it go. Addiction, bondage, all of those things that are holding you. This is the great getting up morning for a reason. We got to get up out of what's bound us so that we can prepare to meet our Savior in the air. Remember, as you move from death to life, there will be obstacles in your way, but don't let them stop. There will be prophetic voices along the way, and you've got to make sure you listen to them. And God will confirm his word through people, signs, and wonders. On this wonderful Resurrection Sunday, make it your plan. Make it your plea. Make it your responsibility to make sure that you get up.